Welcome back to my channel. We're still in the Florida Keys in today's video, and this is from our month-long trip to the Florida Keys. If you haven't seen the last videos in this series, I'll link those in the description in case you want to go back and start from the beginning. But today we're jumping in with a Florida Keys staple. Everyone will tell you that you must visit Robbies in Islamorada to feed the tarpon, and that is where we're kicking off today's video. We are getting started right there at Robbies in Islamorada. I always thought that Robbies was just a place to feed the tarpon, but it turns out that it's so much more than that, which we didn't realize until we visited. There's an Airstream with ice cream and coffee, there's a bar, a restaurant, a place where artists are set up selling paintings and printings. You can also buy local knickknacks and souvenirs here. So yeah, it's way more than just a place to feed the tarpon, even though that is the biggest draw for most people. The atmosphere is really nice here and we just loved it. Robbies is also on a marina, so you can rent kayaks and paddleboards, and then some of the local boat charters also leave out of Robbies Marina. To feed the tarpon at Robbies, you'll pay $2.50 per person to enter the dock, and then a bucket of fish is $4. This makes Robbies a really inexpensive activity in the Florida Keys, which can be really difficult to find. 3 of us shared a $4 bucket, and we were all left satisfied with how many times we got to feed the tarpon. 1 bucket for 3 people was plenty.
Even though we've been to the Keys like more times than we can count, we've never been to Robbies. We're at Robbies today, and you've probably heard of it. This is the famous place where you can feed the tarpon.
Tarpon are fish, and they actually like other fish. They eat them, smaller ones. But no, this is cool. You can actually hand feed them. You throw them in the water, and they have teeth, super sharp teeth. Big fish too. It's crazy. We're gonna go feed them.
I actually am a little bit nervous.
Are you?
A little bit nervous.
Well, they are fish and they have teeth, so it makes sense.
Sometimes in the pictures you see their mouths go like.
Yeah.
Right,
No,
I don't
you
know.
can see. That lady just fed one over there. You can actually see the water. Crazy. They jump out actually, and you like drop it in their mouth.
Yeah.
Pretty wild.
All right, so let's go do it. See you there. All right. Thank you. Yeah? Oh, here it comes. Yeah, I was so bad last time. Okay, ready?
After feeding the tarpon, we went to Ocean Gardens and Gifts. It's a huge store that's located right next to the Islamorada Brewery. I've been wanting to check out this store for a couple of years, but we've just never made it in there until this day. The store is huge and it has a little bit of everything from home decor to gifts and trinkets. They even have some antique items like coins from shipwrecks and buoy lights. They just have a little bit of everything. It's so cool. It's not a cheap store, but the items are unique and it's an amazing experience to just look around. We started heading further south with nowhere in particular in mind when we saw a sign on the side of the road that caught our eye, and I don't even remember what the sign said. It might have been advertising a tiki bar or lunch, I'm not really sure, but that place ended up being our favorite find of the entire month-long trip. It was the Lagoon on Grassy Key. So we've seen this place before and had no idea what it was. It's a lagoon where you can kiteboard, foil board, and more. It's just a really cool park. They also have a surf shop on site, and where we spent most of the time was Bongo's Beer Garden. We were basically the only people that day, probably just because the weather was questionable and it was a weekday, but they have fruit trees, gardens, hammocks, lawn games, they have it all. We stopped for a drink and I drank mine as slow as I could because I just didn't want to leave. They have happy hour, live music, and they serve food. It was just such a cool place. The employees also seemed to view this as more of a lifestyle than a job and were super welcoming. All around, it was just a wonderful experience. This water view is at Havana Jacks in Key Colony, which was our next stop after the Lagoon. We were pretty hungry at that point, and my husband and I had stayed at Glenn's, which is a resort right next door, on one of our very first trips to the Keys. This area has always been really special to us because of that. So at Havana Jacks, the food wasn't bad, but it also wasn't like my favorite of the trip or anything like that. However, the experience was pretty magical because we could see several different storms way out in the Gulf, and yet it never rained on us, so we could stay seated outside the whole time. The skies also made the water this like really pretty green color, and yeah, it was just very magical. I even saw a dolphin, but no one else saw it, so they don't believe me, but I definitely did. We saw some iguanas as well, and we even saw a water spout. The footage is just bad because it was so far out in the Gulf, but I'll put the footage in here so that you can see it. I love seeing water spouts. They're so cool to me no matter what, so even though it was really far away, it was really cool to see. Earlier I mentioned that on a previous trip we stayed at the Glenn's Resort next door to Havana Jacks. When we stayed there, we used their bikes and took them to Sunset Park in Key Colony. It's just a small waterfront park, but we love it, so we go back whenever we can. So on this trip, we stopped by that park and we got to see this stingray, which was really cool. After that, we headed home, which was perfect timing because it rained the rest of the night. And in fact, we were really lucky that we didn't get rained on because we were supposed to. And so yeah, we got lucky that we were able to have like a whole day out and about. But it was really relaxing to have such a good, successful day out and then be able to relax in the rain at home. It was just a perfect ending to a perfect day, really. My mom had been in town visiting for this video, and then the last video as well, she was there. So the next day we had to drop her off, unfortunately, at the airport. She flew out of Fort Lauderdale, so we made a stop at Tarpon River Brewing in Fort Lauderdale on the way. It was a really cool brewery and we really liked it. It really helped break up the trip as well. So this video was around day 10 of our month-long trip to the Florida Keys. So we have a lot more Florida Keys content coming your way. If you'd like to follow along, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Your subscription and your comments and likes, they truly mean the world to us. We appreciate you being here so much and can't wait to see you next time.
Go. I'm gonna go ahead and feed these fish. Check this out. Too slow, honestly. Had no chance at it. Didn't want it bad. Who wants it the worst? Here, let's get it. Who wants it the most? Not at all. Not at all. Not even a chance. Oh, all right. That was.